Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer, and I want to thank the Minister for advance sight of her statement. I welcome the reintroduction of this bill, but today's announcement does not come without disappointment. The Cabinet Secretary has been clear that neither the Education Act or the Children's Act will be covered in the scope of the bill, meaning that provisions of education standards, special needs provisions, local authority duties in relation to looked after children and a whole host of other vital areas children and young people were counting on will not have the protection of incorporation. This is a damning indictment of 16 wasted years during which the Cabinet Secretary herself led on education. Does the Cabinet Secretary accept that the SNP government's failure to act on its self-proclaimed priority means that we're still now relying on an outdated Thatcherite piece of legislation that's older than me, and that ultimately that inaction has led to a betrayal of children and young people today?
Cabinet Secretary.
Can I say, Presiding Officer, I'm genuinely disappointed by that question from Pam Duncan-Glancy, because I think there's not probably much difference between where her and I are on the protection of human rights. The limitations which I've discussed in my statement are because of the devolved competence that we must have and the Supreme Court judgment. That's why we have had to look at the acts that can be within scope and the acts that cannot be. It's not because the SNP is bad, it's not because we haven't been doing anything, it's because of the way the Scotland Act is actually developed. And genuinely, as I say, I think there is not much between Pam Duncan-Glancy and I about how we would want to take forward children's rights. So, to attempt to find some consensus, Presiding Officer, I look forward to working with her to see how we can have more protection in this Parliament and more rights within this Parliament, but we will not get it within the current devolved settlement.